Hey y'all, I'm back after some time away. I've just, been doing graduate things. You get what I mean? I'm a graduate now or whatever. So that comes with responsibilities. And I've been trying my best to keep up with those responsibilities. I've not been doing the best job at it, but we try our best out here. So today I'll be talking about Lizzie Mcguire, the one and only Lizzie Mcguire, not the movie. I'll be talking about that sometime later on in my channel, but today I'll be talking about the show, which, if you guys didn't know, is what the movie is based on. So the movie is kind of like further down the line, the timeline of like the show. I'm making no sense at all. Okay, so the show comes before the movie, is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, the focus of today will be the Lizzie Mcguire show rather than the movie. But yeah, if this is your first time seeing one of my videos, hi, my name is Nadine, and I think you should subscribe to my channel. You have nothing to lose, and you have everything to gain, I promise you. You'll love it here. Even if it's not your first time seeing one of my videos, if you're not subscribed to my channel, you really should be. Anyway, I don't want to prolong this intro too much because I have a really bad habit of doing that, but don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy it. Now, if you guys don't know, Lizzie Mcguire is a Disney Channel original show that first aired in 2001, and Lizzie Mcguire is played by a really young Hilary Duff. She was around 13 years old, I think. I'll double check that. Yep, I was right. But she's in her 30s now, so that should give you some context of how young she was. So the show starts off with Lizzie planning on joining the cheer squad at her school. And it's made really obvious to us that Lizzie's never done anything of the sort before, and so she's really nervous to try out. Now, for some reason on Disney shows and Disney movies, cheerleaders are supposed to be these really stuck up and like mean people. Like, I used to be a cheerleader, and I wouldn't say that I was ever mean to anyone, and I wouldn't say that any of the cheerleaders on my team were mean. They're just really obsessed with drama, but that's besides the point. Now, this is one of my favorite scenes of the whole show because it makes absolutely no sense, and that makes it fucking hilarious. Now, as Lizzie's walking down the stairs at her school, two cheerleaders come into the hallway to kind of advertise the tryouts, but look at how they come in. Like, is that not the weirdest thing you've ever seen? Like, they're just gliding in on some fucking thing. Like, it makes no sense. I've never seen anyone walk into a school hallway like that. So later on, Lizzie meets up with her two best friends, Miranda and Gordo, at the cafeteria. It's made very clear to us from the beginning that Miranda and Gordo are against trying to fit in with the popular kids at school, and so they make it very clear to Lizzie that they don't think it's the best idea to be trying out for the cheer team.
Are you crazy? Do you want to risk humiliating yourself in front of the whole school?
Any group activity that forces others to be happy is by nature evil.
And here we gain some very valuable insight into Gordo's character. He's this angsty, opinionated, wise sort of teen. He's like 13 years old, and he's like really smart for his age.
I just don't understand this herd mentality that, tells us what to wear, what to watch, what to eat. McNuggets.
He's sort of like not the other guys type of character, and one big detail about his character is that he secretly likes Lizzie. Personally speaking, Gordo's character has always been one of my favorites on the show because I always find his like dry, sarcastic humor fucking hilarious and ahead of its time. So later on, it's finally time for Lizzie to try out for the team, and of course she blows it. And her friends are just sitting back there in the bleachers just waiting for her, watching her, and it's like really embarrassing for them and they feel really bad for her. And obviously, this goes without saying, Lizzie just doesn't make it on the team. After she goes home, her family tries to make her feel better about the whole situation, but as a preteen, you think your family and your parents are just like the least helpful people ever, and that's kind of what goes on with Lizzie here.
I never liked cheerleaders anyway. They were always so snooty. And you, Lizzie Mcguire, are no snoot.
Lizzie, if it makes you feel any better, I was never a cheerleader, and my life turned out just fine.
That's relative.
I think this makes Lizzie's character a lot more relatable to preteens that watch the show, because I'm sure a lot of preteens, myself included when I was a preteen, found their parents like so unhelpful in situations where like you were embarrassed or like kind of difficult situations that you find yourself in at school. Here we also get to meet Lizzie's little brother called Matt, and Matt's also one of my favorites, if not my absolute favorite character on the show. Like most little brothers on Disney shows or shows in general, his character kind of revolves around insulting his big sister, but it's not in like the unfunny sort of way. It's actually really, really funny. Like, I remember in that scene, she comes home and he calls his little lizard thing Lizzie.
Here, ugly little Lizzie. What'd you call that thing? Ugly? You called it Lizzie. Well, there's no denying the resemblance.
Children.
So later on that evening, Lizzie's in her room just messaging Miranda on this ancient messaging service. And Lizzie finds out that Kate, who used to be her friend and now is her enemy, actually made the cheer squad. Now, knowing that Lizzie embarrassed herself at the tryouts and her enemy actually made the team, that really frustrated her. And she ends up messaging Miranda, telling her that Kate actually made the team because she stuffs her bra.
Well, you know why she made it, don't you? Because Kate stuffs her bra.
So I never know how and why the fuck this happens, especially in old shows and old movies, but Miranda's computer ends up jamming and she ends up sending Lizzie's message to the entirety of the class. Like, how do you send a message to the entire school? And also, why is her buddy list just people from school? That's just weird to me. I know it's like a show, but it's not very well thought out. So the next day, Lizzie, Miranda, and Gordo meet up at school, and Lizzie's just terrified of Kate confronting her for starting the rumor. So Kate eventually approaches them and asks which one of them started the rumor, and Lizzie's too scared to stand up and say the truth, so Miranda takes the blame.
I did it, Kate. I'm really sorry.
Hey, Kate, you got any extra tissue?
And since Kate's character is kind of the mean girl at the school, she doesn't let Miranda off and she threatens her.
You are so gonna pay for this.
And this leads us to one of my favorite things about the show, and it's the montages. It's like such a 2000s thing. It's like a staple for 2000s shows and movies. And I think it adds like a lot of charm and personality to whatever you're watching. So this particular montage was about the rivalry between Kate and Miranda after their kind of kerfuffle that day, and for some reason all these pranks were pulled in the same day. Like, Miranda stuffed Kate's locker with tissues, and you know, you get it because she stuffs her bra, so she stuffed the locker with tissues, you know, funny. And Kate makes Miranda think that Danny Kessler, who's the guy at school that every girl likes apparently, she makes her think that he wants to talk to her, and so Miranda goes up to him and she asks him like if he wants to talk to her, and he's like no, like he was kind of weirded out by her, and so that was like really embarrassing for her. And Miranda fills up Kate's hairspray with like green dye to turn her hair green before the pep rally, which is such a weird thing now that I mention it. Like, they had the tryouts the day before, they announced the results the same day of the tryouts, and then they had a pep rally the next day. Like, did they have time to practice? Like, I don't get it. Of course, this whole time Lizzie feels terrible for letting Miranda take the heat for the message that she sent, but at the same time is absolutely petrified of telling Kate the truth. But later on at the pep rally, Lizzie does the right thing and she goes up to Kate and tells her that she started the rumor and that she should leave Miranda alone.
Miranda didn't do it, I did.
Did what?
Hey!
You touched me.
Yeah, I wasn't finished talking to you. Miranda didn't write that instant message. I did. I'm sorry about what I wrote. It was rude. And I wish I could take it back.
So Kate ends up like putting together this cheer like in 5 seconds, and it's kind of catchy, I won't lie. But it's actually terrible because she's calling Lizzie ugly, she's calling her a loser, you know, the whole nine, and it's just like, I feel bad, but this is a bop. So Lizzie becomes the laughingstock of the school for approximately 5 minutes until this guy called Larry Tudgman picks his nose and eats it, and someone caught it on camera. So from this first episode of Lizzie McGuire, you see how simple the show is, but it's so charming. Like, I love the show. I still watch it to this day. One thing I really love about the show is the sound effects.
Dad, Lizzie's talking about dressing like Britney Spears.
Well, I thought you were going to wear the sweater that Gammy McGuire sent you for Christmas.
Race car. Anyone got any ideas?
Sorry, I got nothing.
Race car!
They really double the humor that's in the show, and I have no idea how that's possible because the show is already so funny. But the sound effects that they use are so like perfectly thought out and so perfectly timed that everything is just like that much more funny. Also, I love the characters' outfits. I feel like they perfectly capture the essence of the 2000s, which is the era that the show was filmed in, so I guess that's obvious. Miranda's hair is a great example of this. Like, it's always in like colorful rubber bands, and it's just like a whole bunch of ponytails sticking out of her head, and there's like these fuzzy things that she has in her hair sometimes. It's just really cute. Lizzie's mom is also a really great example. She really embodies that soccer mom sort of look. Like, she has this pixie cut, glasses, she's blonde obviously. She wears like this sort of tank top with like a shirt on top, and not the khakis, they're like the ones that end at like the middle of your shin, those kinds of pants, and like these really ugly shoes. But I don't know, it works so well. I mentioned this previously, but the montages are also such a perfect element of the show, even though the show itself is like terribly produced, like but that's just like, I love that about it. And also like that coupled with the montages is just magic. Like, it gives me that sort of like, do you guys know Napoleon Dynamite? I feel like I always talk about it and no one knows what I'm talking about, but I feel like it's a well-known movie. But it's like that sort of thing. Like, there's no point to it, but you love it. You don't know why you love it, but you love it. And it's also really funny, but it's like unintentionally funny. 2000s shows and movies have such a special place in my heart, and I can talk about them for hours on end. There's never that much to them, but I think that's what makes them so special in my opinion. They're really easy watches, and like, they can get addictive. But anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, comment if you have any thoughts on this video, or if you want to see any other videos from me in the future, and follow all my socials. They'll be linked down below.